afternoon, and thank you very much, Venkatesh sir. And I want to thank all the organizers, Mr. Srinivas, and all the dignitaries that gave such a wonderful speech. So, I represent today WizKids Gurukul, where we are setting up a new kind of a Gurukul, AI-powered Gurukul. I also represent Tibil Solutions, where we are delivering a lot of these AI-powered technical solutions. So, I want to take all of you through, based on as a practitioner, from the industry perspective, as a practitioner, what are some of the major changes that we are witnessing and how these changes are affecting at an overall society level, at an industry level, and what is that you and I as individuals can do. So this is the kind of the plan I have. I want to paint a picture of what is AI and how AI is shaping and will continue to shape. So before I get started, I want to first thank my gurus, Shri Acharya Vinay Vinaykar and Shri Narasimha Prabhuji. In life, you and I do whatever we do because we have been guided properly. And I have been lucky enough that, I have Acharya Vinay Vinaykar, who is the founder of Society for Establishing Vishwa as a Kutumba, and Shri Narasimha Prabhuji, founder of Light of the Self Foundation. So the WizKid Gurukul that I'm going to be talking about is being done under the leadership of Shri Narasimha Prabhuji. So if I ask all of you a question, is AI a threat or an opportunity? Opportunity. Threat. Both. Depending upon what kind of information you may have heard, what kind of news channels you may be seeing, what kind of social media you may be listening to, or what your friends and relatives may be talking about, it can be either way. You may see it as a threat, or what will happen? Will my job go away? Will these kinds of jobs be there? Kind of a threat, or there are new opportunities. We all heard Shri Bali sir moments back as a speaker, as a chief guest. So he was talking about a lot of opportunities are opening up. It all depends upon the perspective which is shaped by the information that you may have. So this is where the age-old wisdom of Bhagavad Gita comes. So this was the same kind of a confusion for Arjuna also. He was standing in the battlefield. He said, I'm confused. Krishna, I don't know what to do. Should I really fight? Should I run away? What should I do? And the first thing Bhagavan says to him is, a wise one neither laments for the past nor for the future. What does he mean by that? Essentially, if you really think about it, there is no point in neither lamenting for what has gone and what is going to come. Why? Change is the nature of life. So Shri Krishna teaches us, realize Arjuna, that when you accept that change is the nature of life, you will be at peace with change. However, you and I still need to figure out how to blend with the change, isn't it? So today, my focus will be to help share some perspectives about what is the change that is happening and how you and I can be better prepared. Because for me, AI is a great opportunity. That's why the title of the talk is, it's an opportunity for orbit shift. It is not a small change. It is not a small change. It is a step change. It's an orbit shift. Newer and bolder opportunities are going to open up. So that's the picture that I want to paint in front of all of you. So first, let us look at it from a society viewpoint, in a general society viewpoint. If I ask all of you, what is that one fundamental game? Sir already said, he has seen some 6 generations of people come and go. However, something that hasn't changed is the fundamentals, right? In your profession or in my profession or in society in general, fundamentals do not change. That's why they're called fundamentals. So what is the fundamental game that you and I are playing in life? If I ask you that question, many answers may come up. You may generally say, oh, I'm playing the game of life. Okay, what is the game of life that you and I are playing? What is it you and I are playing? And especially because all of you are cost accountants, and already I am so encouraged to hear words such as data-driven insights. It is very, very easy that this audience will easily relate to the idea that the game of the life that you and I are fundamentally playing is essentially summarized by this picture. If you notice this picture, what does it say? Data, insight, action. So what does it mean? Let's take a simple couple of examples. As a child, there is hunger. What is hunger? Is a data. There is a hunger. And what is the insight the child has? Oh, I need food. And what does it do in order to get the food? Either will cry or will seek the food. Isn't it? So there is a data, and because of the data, there is some kind of an insight which leads to certain decision, and that leads to action. And the same thing, if you now extend to even a big CFO. What is, for example, as a CFO, I have my Tibbles CFO also here with me, Kavita ji. She will relate to this much better, and I'm sure all of you will also relate to this. As a CFO, say for example, you are tasked with the problem of diminishing returns. How do I contain the diminishing returns? So what are some of the things that you will do? So you will start analyzing the data. So where are we spending more? Is this appropriate spending? Is there a better alternative? Like that, you will start gathering data, you will start analyzing data, and through that, you will arrive at certain opportunities. Isn't it? That's the insight that you will develop. And once when you develop that insight, that leads to your decisions, which is what leads to the action. What is the action? Maybe you will renegotiate with your vendor, or maybe you will reduce the workforce, whatever may be the insight through which you have decided to act. So fundamentally, if you think about it, each one of us, our roles may be different, where we are playing that role may be different, but fundamentally, each one of us, when you and I say we are playing the game of life, or we are living life, in a way, it is summarized by this picture. Data, insight, which is nothing but decision, and action. Data, decision, action. Isn't it? So, this game of life has of course led to many, many miracles that you and I call as, inventions. And if you really look at this picture, this is the kind of the big progression over the quite a few last centuries that has happened. But the most important thing that you notice here is all of them have a broad theme. Initially, it was all about improving the productivity by leveraging steam. Then came electricity. Then the last few decades have been really about computing. Computers and information technology, what you and I refer as knowledge industry, has revolutionized so many things. Knowledge industry. And now, we are all saying we are in the fourth industrial revolution. What you and I can refer as the age of intelligence. The age of intelligence. What does it mean? But even before we go into what does it mean, why are we doing all this? Why are we inventing all these toys? Why are we creating all these toys? All of you are masters at it. You know it much better than I do. Because all of us are driven by this single motive. At the end of the rainbow, there is a pot of gold. All of us are seeking this pot of gold. So all this data, decision, action is driven towards this pot of gold by creating these toys. Wonderful. And these toys so far were subservient to you and me. Meaning what? This microphone wouldn't suddenly jump up and start giving a speech. I have to pick it up and I have to give a speech. This table wouldn't just stand up and start walking. Correct? So far, all the tools that you and I have created, humanity has created, have this nature, which is they are driven by you and me. But something miraculous happened. Some of you may know this date. Any guess what happened on this date? November 30th, 2022. Thank you very much. Some of the newer people probably understand this. ChatGPT 3.5 came onto the picture. What is so miraculous about ChatGPT 3.5? So ChatGPT had been getting many releases, and on this day there was a 3.5, version 3.5 got released. What is so significant about it? Before this, you and I, like I already mentioned, would say that all these tools can only be driven by us. And what you call as data decision action is only in the domain of human being. Only a human knows how to convert this data into insight, into action. But all of that changed overnight. All of us know. Now, you can go to ChatGPT to get poetry, to get a story, to get a video, to get even advices. People talk to ChatGPT. What should I do with my husband? How I should fix my wife? You know, you get all these kinds of things. And ChatGPT is giving advice as if it is a human being. Not only that, to the surprise of all of us in the so-called IT industry, ChatGPT can now code. Not only can it code, it can run the code. It can run it almost independent of human beings. So, in a way, whatever you and I used to think as data decision action, the balance of the power, human being used to be so-called at the top of the pyramid, right? Because we only could generate all these kinds of insights and do all these kinds of intelligent actions. In a way, shifted. Fundamentally has shifted. This is the most important observation that you and I need to make. So far, the tool that you and I had created was subservient to us. Now there is a tool that is on par, or in many cases much better than you and I. How many facts can you and I remember? How many tables can you and I multiply? How many so-called social media posts can you and I see? But ChatGPT and these tools are enormous. So you and I are now facing, as they say, the monster that you and I have created. Is it really a monster? So that's what, let's see. So now I want to shift our perspective to industry. By industry, what I mean, of course, I come from primarily a IT industry, so I'll try to paint the picture from an IT industry, and I want to paint two use cases. One where, I am personally involved in setting up of WizKids Gurukul, how we are leveraging these technologies. Another use case, another case study from the perspective of my own company, Tibble Solutions. So from the industry viewpoint, we see this entire phenomena occur in three major, what we can call as waves. Of course, with any new technology, and IT industry is really has a bad reputation for this. Initially, there's a lot of hype. How many of you know the dot-com hype in 2000? Any company which could simply name blah blah blah.com got funding. And after a few months, that blah 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 went away, and with that, your money also washed away, right? So like that, there's a lot of hype. Because our industry is known for creating acronyms, creating a lot of trendy things that nobody else other than the so-called industry internal people understand. And many cases we also don't know. Because the jargons are coming so fast and furious. I don't know many a times. In the morning I wake up and suddenly there is a new LLM and there is a new kind of terminology, new technology. When I joined the industry about 3 decades back, the change used to happen roughly say in about once every 5 years. Once every 5 years I would hear, hey, now you need to retool yourself. Your technology, whatever you learned is no more valid. Now the pace of technology is so enormous that every day I don't know that what will be happening. Such is the pace at which things are changing, right? So anyway, initially it is all a lot of hype. Like, everything will be done by AI. AI will take over the world. You and I will have nothing to do. Some of you may have seen this movie called Wall-E. Okay, in that Wall-E movie, what the human beings are left to do? Simply sit. Which is what, most of us do these days also, in front of our mobile. Simply keep scrolling. So like that Wall-E, simply sit. Machines have taken over the world and they are doing everything for you. That is one kind of a doomsday prophecy. That is one extreme picture that is being painted. The other side, of course, we human beings kind of have a way to figure out how to balance all this. Various kinds of discussions will happen, various government and regulatory policies will kick in, and I'm pretty sure some reasonable and meaningful way by which things will start happening, right? So that is what the next phase we are saying, which is the business value first, AI-powered apps. See, there is so much of investment that has already gone in various sectors, in various kinds of tools and technologies. Overnight, they cannot be modified because fundamentally, there is a mind shift that needs to happen. There is a mind set that needs to change, and that is not going to happen immediately. So therefore, the adoption will be primarily by value-driven AI-powered applications. That will be the first wave. Next wave, which is what we are predicting, is what is being called as agentic wave. Agentic wave is going to fundamentally change the way you and I are doing things. Why do you think you have to sit in front of this rectangular screen and type in all your data? Because this is the only way this thing called as computer understands how to understand your data. Why do you think you have to stare at it to consume some content? When you have to talk to your friend, it is, you look into the eyes of your friend, you look into the body language of your friend, you converse with your friend in a very natural way, isn't it? And you tell your friend, or you tell your somebody, hey, I need some water, can you get me some water? So it's a very natural way you and I interact in the world. So the third wave, the agentic wave, will have all such elements because there is now intelligence, like I already showed you, available. Also, there's a lot of intelligence that is going to come and get into a lot of physical things, right? Robots, which will be humanoids, and many, many devices which will have humanoid qualities. So the interaction you and I will have will become quite natural. Now, what's the timeline for this? It can be depending upon who you ask and what kind of baggage they have in terms of what kind of a positioning of product they want to do. The variations can be as much as 40, 50 years to as short as next 3 to 4 years, right? Doesn't matter. What matters is, this is probably one of the way by which things are going to shift. So in this shift, of course, you and I still have to cook, right? So you and I, if you and I think about our business as a kitchen, what is it you and I are doing? Fundamentally, you and I fundamentally are fulfilling some need. A need called hunger with some solution called some food. And in order to do that, what is it you and I are doing? We have a certain value chain. We have certain activities that we call as, our core practices or our core activities. Only we can do sauce, secret sauce. So like that, each one of us in our business have our activities. And who performs these activities? Some people, right? Some roles we have. So fundamentally, when you look at any business, it is a set of activities done by a set of actors. So what is going to happen is, in this, you and I will have to figure out some of the activities and some of the actors are going to go away. So there is going to be an end. So there is going to be no more such roles available, or no more such activities will be necessary. So this is one thing that is going to change. The other thing, what this technology and all these tools are enabling you and me to do is to enhance. As a simple example I'll give you, copyright. In marketing campaigns, copyright creation is a very important activity. It used to usually have, in a typical campaign management, at least 10 to 15% of the effort used to go towards copyright management. These days, that no more many of the marketing companies have such people, right? So copyright writing, many things have gone. Whereas some of the things are getting enhanced. As a simple example, in our own company, if let's say we had to develop a particular solution for a particular business problem, if we needed say n number of people earlier, today we are able to do that with n by 3, n by 4. So much of reduction. How? Because we've been able to apply various kinds of AI-driven tools and technologies. Lot of enhancement is happening. And last but not the least, very important, is that it is also creating brand new opportunities that you and I, as businesses, may not even have thought about or couldn't even dreamt of entering because of various technical and other reasons now are open. So you and I can innovate, you and I can figure out what newer areas that we want to build, not just as a complementary. So the thinking was complementary. Okay, how would you grow a business? So you would create a certain core value in your business, and then you would figure out what is a complementary value. Step by step, you will move. But now you can kind of rethink newer models. You and I don't really have to be structurally now anchored by how the old world used to operate. So the operating structures can be questioned today. That's where newer opportunities, entry opportunities are emerging. So like that, any business, whether it's an IT business or any other business, can potentially make use of how I look at the value chain, how I myself figure out what needs to be ended, because continuing to think that, okay, so AI will come, until then I will figure out, no, it's not going to help us. You and I have to do a proactive value assessment and figure out what needs to end, what needs to enhance, what are the newer opportunities, right? So this is where I want to present the first case study of WizKids. So the fundamental problem statement that we are addressing through WizKids is, today, what is education? Today, education is a factory system. What is a factory? Volume. What is the objective of this education factory? Everybody has to know science, math, society, social, whatever nonsense that we all think is important. And what do we expect at the end of this factory life? How much is the factory life? Unfortunately, a doctor, maybe 20 years of study, right? And what do you get out of that? You get out of that somebody who remembers when did Shah Jahan build whatever nonsense that he built. What is the value of that? Or what is the value of Newton's third law? For every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. So, what are we producing? People who are able to remember and repeat. Is it valuable? No. What is needed is, each one of us, you all know by now, each one of us is unique in the way you and I learn, in the way you and I can contribute to any given situation. But the education system is mass education. One teacher comes and gives the same information. It is like this classical, there is one cartoon. There is a elephant, there is a fish, and there is a monkey, and there is a teacher. And the teacher is saying, today I'm going to do a test. You know what the test is? Who can swim the best? Who do you think will swim the best? Of course the fish. Because that is what it is designed for. But is the education designed for that? No. So that is a fundamental problem we are addressing through WizKids. Can we leverage AI combined with mentors, people who are aware of human development, and how to motivate, how to inspire? Because at the end of the day, please remember, you and I are here because some nice people did some nice things with us. All of us can remember that. Maybe your parents, maybe some teachers, somebody inspired us in some way. And that's what has brought us all here. So like that, such people are needed. But why do you need people to continuously, repetitively tell you about Newton's third law or Akbar, right? So that can be taken over by AI. That's the experiment that we are doing. And this has to be combined with the right kind of cultural values. Today, what kind of cultural values are we giving to our children? Where is the cultural value? What is that what do they know and understand about Bhagavad Gita? They think that it is a religious text supposed to be read and studied only by certain sect of people, and that too when they are retiring. No, when you're retiring, you are tired already. What will you learn? What will you use of Bhagavad Gita? Because Bhagavad Gita is a living text for you and me to function in our day-to-day situations of life. But everybody thinks of it as like a religious text. That is not the right kind of cultural value. You want to bring the right mindset. So combining all that is the experiment that we are doing in WizKids Gurukul. And today we are able to dream and dare to say that we can set up a Gurukul like that because of AI. There is an orbit shift that I mentioned about, right? The other use case that I want to bring about is the company that we represent, Tibble Solutions. So in Tibble Solutions also, now we are able to see how data is going to create a central strategic differentiator for you, right? And we are able to see and create various kinds of solutions, because the way, for example, till now, if you are a decision maker, you needed a dashboard. And the dashboard, for example, would have been created 6 months back in a certain way. It is not necessarily tailored for you, not necessarily tailored for the way you function, the way you make decision. Much like the factory education system I mentioned earlier, the factory dashboards, one dashboard for everybody. So it will contain 100 numericals. Everybody is confused. Nobody uses. What is the value of such a thing? So now you are able to bring data where you need, when you need, how you need, in various varieties. So data can shape your user experience in ways that you cannot imagine. Because you and I don't have to consume reams and reams of data. You and I need some simple important numbers when we need to make a decision, isn't it? So that's the power that AI is bringing to you and me. And that's what we're leveraging in Tibble. So that brings me to the most fundamental aspect. At the end of the day, society is okay, industry is okay, but what about me? What about you, right? So what is that you and I can do? And this is, again, I'll be repeating myself, and all of you are professionals, accomplished people. It's like preaching to the choir. However, there are certain important aspects that are, I think, relevant irrespective of what kind of an industry or what kind of a profession we are in. What I would call as 5 critical skill areas. The first and foremost, see, so far, science, math probably used to rule the roost. No. I think the people who are going to be more successful are the ones who are going to be more creative. Those who are able to think broadly. Those who are able to cross-pollinate ideas. So creative mindset. Very, very important to develop a creative mindset. Of course, creative mindset has to be guided by analytical, structured thinking, right? A system thinking, a numerical thinking, understanding of the fundamentals, very, very important. That is not going to go away. And you and I, depending upon what kind of environment we are in, we have to understand business. We have to know why this business is there. What is the value this business is giving? Whose need is it fulfilling? And how is it fulfilling? What is the value chain of this business? So you and I have to become business thinkers. In a way, start thinking of ourselves as entrepreneurs. No more as I'm working for somebody. I have to start thinking, feeling, living like an entrepreneur. Not necessarily that I have to run my own company, but wherever I am, I have to become an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur means what? Somebody who figures out what is the need and how do I fulfill, rather than getting constrained with, this is what my role is, this is all I will do. An entrepreneur figures out the need and how to fulfill the need with a solution. An entrepreneurial mindset has to be developed. And that has to be guided by the right kind of industry constraints. It cannot be simply whatever nonsense that works in fintech will work in the manufacturing, right? So you and I have to know the nuances of it. Of course, functional, needless to say. You know, many of you are from finance background, so you of course have a lot of finance related deep domain expertise. Coupled with that, some basics of fundamentals of mathematics and computers is going to become essential, irrespective of which sector you and I are going to be working in. So like that, certain basics of functional areas. Last but not the least, in fact, the most important, what we refer as the soft skill areas, right? So empathy, collaboration, already all the distinguished speakers have spoken about it. So the world today is a different world. Information is no more the arbitrage of your competency. Information is available. See, this is available. Today you are carrying all the humanities knowledge here. You just have to search. It's all available here. So information is never going to be arbitrage. Maybe 10 years, 20 years back it was. Not anymore. So how do you then work? Is it a competition? And Bali sir said it beautifully. It is not a competition. It is not that you and I have to say, oh, there is only limited resource, you and I have to fight over each other. It's a collaboration. It's a cooperation. It's not a competition. And when you and I collaborate and we work with each other, we can create 1 + 1 as 11. And that's the beauty. And that is what you and I have to learn. Not that you don't know. I'm just, like I said already, I'm just repeating or reiterating some of the important traits in this new world that you and I have to develop. So with all that, once again to summarize, Shri Krishna has already given this knowledge, has already given this wisdom to you and me. The most fundamental friend you have, your most fantastic friend, is your own mind, Shri Krishna says. And the worst enemy you and I can have, again, is your and my own mind. So Shri Krishna says, Arjuna, use your mind to uplift yourself, not to downgrade yourself. And Shri Krishna also teaches that you are that divine. You are that divine power, which is the very source of the wisdom, love, energy. And it is you who is going to be the transformative agent, not that AI. AI gets powered by you. The whole fundamental thing is eradication of something called corruption can happen within me. So I can hope for self-transformation. If I transform and if people around me feel it is worthy of transforming, then it will transform. And like many of you are observing, my India is changing for the better. That's all I can say, sir. Thank you.
I foresee it, work left, this and that. What are don'ts?
Don'ts in the context of as an individual or in the context of business?
No, context of AI.
Saying in the context of where? When you are applying it to business?
Business, own life, anything.
Okay, so because the answer depends upon where you're applying. Let's take the example of a business. In the case of a business, the first thing is, as a business leader, you and I have to, like I already mentioned, look at the value chain and look at what is the fundamental value that AI is going to bring into that particular activity or that part of the value chain. So that critical analysis is very, very important. So, for example, there are 3 simple things that you can think of in terms of automation. One is the traditional automation, the programming-based automation, which is what has already given us a lot of productivity booster. It is not necessary that, every problem that is out there is an AI problem. So we need to learn to distinguish what is truly an AI problem and what is not an AI problem. If I want to repetitively add up all the cells in an Excel, I don't necessarily need an AI for that. However, by adding up, I want to know what can be the forecast. So things like that which are fairly ambiguous, where a human had to sit and think. So I need to figure out what part of my value chain can be automated and I still get the value, and what part of the value chain really requires AI. And AI can also be applied in multiple flavors. So all that has to be thought through.
Okay, it doesn't answer my question.
That is in the context of the Gen AI. See, when you bring it into your business context, So you cannot simply bring a Gen AI or a LLM into directly say answering your cost accounting questions, right? So if you give all your data to say for example ChatGPT and ask all the questions, it can hallucinate, it can give wrong answers. So still human in the loop is very much important. It is not that human in the loop has gone away. However, what the human in the loop has to do has to change. Human in the loop is no more that traditional way of, I will enter the data kind of a thing. So human in the loop has to be lot more advanced to guide that AI.